The movie commences with Jack Starks, a Gulf War soldier in 1991, sharing a voiceover that recounts his first death at the age of 27. During a military operation, he's ambushed by a young boy and sustains a gunshot wound to the head. Fast forward a year, and we find Jack as a solitary figure. He's seen hitchhiking along a snow-covered road. On his journey, he encounters a dysfunctional pickup truck occupied by a young woman named Jean Price. She's clearly inebriated or under the influence of drugs, stumbling in the snow and occasionally vomiting. Accompanying Jean is a young girl, roughly 8 to 10 years old. While Jean is incapacitated, the young girl strikes up a conversation with Jack. He offers to help repair the broken-down truck. Intrigued by his army dog tags hanging from his bag, the girl asks about them. Jack explains that they are his dog tags, bearing his name to prevent him from getting lost. The girl then asks if she can have them, and Jack kindly hands them over to her. Following the successful repair of the truck's engine, Jack asks the young girl to try the ignition, and the vehicle roars to life. However, as Jean begins to regain consciousness from her intoxicated state, she becomes irate and delusional. In her altered state of mind, she perceives Jack as a potential threat and decides that he is some sort of pervert, despite the young girl's protests that he helped fix the truck. She hastily bundles the girl into the car, and they drive away, leaving Jack behind. Left alone, Jack resumes his journey on foot, and is eventually picked up by a man in a car several miles from the Canadian border. However, their ride is abruptly interrupted when a policeman pulls them over. The film doesn't show what unfolds during this encounter, but the next thing we know, Jack finds himself on trial for the murder of the police officer. Disturbingly, he has no recollection of the events from that particular day, except for the memory of Jean and the young girl, who authorities have been unable to locate. Jack is ultimately deemed guilty, but mentally unstable, and is committed to an asylum run by Dr. Thomas Becker. In the asylum, we are introduced to Dr. Beth Lawrenson, who also works there. It's revealed that outside of her professional role, she is attempting to provide occupational therapy for a friend's disabled son with limited success. This personal endeavor takes place in her home and remains unknown to Jack at this point in the narrative. One fateful night, Jack is administered a potent cocktail of drugs by the staff at the asylum. He is then tightly secured in a straitjacket and placed inside a mortuary drawer. In this surreal and disorienting state, he experiences a rapid series of flashbacks to various moments from his past, including scenes from the war and the disturbing incident involving the policeman. However, the flashes are too disjointed to provide a clear understanding of what transpired. During the subsequent attempt to place him in the drawer, Jack pretends to cooperate, lulling the staff into a false sense of security. But as they begin the procedure, he suddenly attacks Dr. Becker, striking the doctor in the face and injuring his cheek. In his next bewildering episode, Jack finds himself transported to the exterior of a diner on Christmas Eve. There, he encounters a woman named Jackie Price. She kindly offers him a ride, noting that he won't find a taxi on Christmas Eve. Upon arriving at her home, it becomes evident that Jackie is a heavy drinker who lives in isolation. While she takes a bath, Jack explores her home and ends up preparing toasted sandwiches. After their conversation, Jackie fell asleep. As Jack looks around her place, he stumbles upon his own dog tags and old pictures of Jackie and her mom. Jack questions her about the picture. Jackie confides that it was them in the picture and tells him about her mother's tragic death several years earlier. Her mother had passed out with a cigarette in hand, leading to a fatal fire. Jack asks what year is it, and she answers 2007. Jackie becomes increasingly concerned as Jack attempts to explain that the dog tags belong to him. Confused by this inexplicable leap in time, Jack tries to convey his identity and the strange circumstances to Jackie. After their intense conversation, where Jack tried to convince Jackie by sharing specific details about the day he met her and her mother with the pickup truck, details he believes he couldn't know just from examining the dog tags, Jack's claims are met with skepticism. Jackie adamantly states that he cannot be who he claims to be, insisting that he died on January 1, 1993, due to a head wound. However, she lacks further information about this incident. Emotionally fragile and increasingly distraught, Jackie becomes hysterical and demands that Jack leave her home. In compliance, Jack departs, only to awaken back in the mortuary drawer, transported to the year 1992. In his quest to piece together the events leading to his impending death on January 1st, which is now just 6 days away, Jack must find a way to access the drawer on a nightly basis. Returning to 2007, Jackie begins to believe Jack's extraordinary story and agrees to help him. To explain the uncanny resemblance to his own self from 15 years earlier, Jack assumes the identity of his own nephew and, along with Jackie, visits Dr. Beth Lawrenson. During this visit, he discovers that Dr. Lawrenson has been using electroshock therapy on the boy she's caring for. However, they fail to uncover the circumstances surrounding Jack's death on that fateful New Year's Day in 1993. As Jack continues his visits to the hospital's mortuary drawer, he has an encounter with a patient who used to work as an orderly during his earlier treatment with the jacket and the drawer. However, this former orderly is now suffering from dementia, adding to the enigmatic and unsettling atmosphere of the facility. In the midst of these time-traveling episodes, Jackie and Jack share an intimate moment for the first time. However, their union is short-lived. As Jackie wakes up alone the next morning, Jack was abruptly pulled back to 1992 by his removal from the drawer. One of Jack's episodes inside the drawer finally sheds light on the day the policeman was killed. During a traffic stop, the driver of the car shoots the police officer. Incredulous, Jack exits the vehicle, only to be accidentally struck by a bullet as the wounded officer falls back into the snow. The driver proceeds to shoot the cop multiple times, killing him. He then cleans his weapon and discards it into the snow near the unconscious Jack before fleeing the scene. This incriminates Jack, leading to his confinement in the asylum. In his next visit to the future, Jack confronts an aging Dr. Becker, convinced that the doctor knows the fate that awaits him on January 1, 1993. However, Becker cannot provide the answers Jack seeks, but informs him of the last time he puts him in the morgue drawer before he dies. After their conversation, Jack felt that he is being pulled back in 1992. Inside the vehicle, Jack asks Jackie for her address in 1992, the year he first met her as a child by the roadside. He wants to visit her and her mother for the last time before he meet his own demise. Jackie drives away with Jack, but during the journey, he inexplicably disappears from the back seat of Jackie's car and returns to the year 1992. The mysteries of time and fate continue to entangle his life. Back in 1992, Jack successfully convinces Dr. Beth Lawrenson that he has seen the future by recalling her use of electrotherapy on the young boy under her care. Initially, she doubts his claims, as she believes such practices would not be suitable for such a young patient. Jack insists that it's the only way to help the boy, explaining that the child is essentially in a constant fit, something Beth has not yet realized. Driven by her past failures in treating the boy, Beth decides to take a chance on Jack's suggestion. She administers a very low-frequency, short burst of electrotherapy to the boy, and to her surprise, it immediately yields positive results. With her belief in Jack solidified, she agrees to his request to deliver a letter to Jean Price. Beth assists Jack in escaping from the asylum and drives him to Jackie Price's childhood home, where she lived in 1992 to 1993. Upon arriving at the house, the young girl recognizes Jack from the day he helped fix their truck. He requests to speak with her mother, Jean. Having learned of Jean's tragic fate, that she will pass out with a cigarette in her hand and perish in a fire, Jack gives Jean a letter as a warning. Returning to the asylum with Beth later that evening, Jack had a flashback of the day when he was shot in the head that caused him to slip on ice and sustains a fatal head wound. Jack requested to put him back into the drawer. Dr. Beth complies. With the aid of the asylum staff, they place him back into the morgue drawer before he succumbs to his injury, allowing him to return to the year 2007. In the final scene, as Jack stands outside the diner, Jackie arrives in a VW Beetle and offers him a ride. In this altered future, it seems that Jackie somehow recognizes him, even though Jack hasn't explained how he can be there, appearing completely unchanged after 14 years since their last encounter. However, as far as Jackie is concerned, all the previous experiences they shared have never happened due to the changes Jack introduced when he handed her mother the warning letter. While they drive away, Jackie's phone rings, and it's her mother on the line. In this improved 2007, it's clear that Jean has managed to turn her life around, likely thanks to the contents of the letter Jack delivered. Jean is still alive, and she appears to have a healthy and loving relationship with her daughter, Jackie, which is a significant departure from the dysfunctional past. In the final moments of the film, Jackie asks Jack, "How long do we have?" The two of them drive away together, accompanied by the strains of "We Have All the Time in the World," leaving the audience with a sense of hope and the idea that, in this new timeline, they have the opportunity to enjoy a brighter and more promising future. And that's the end of the story. I hope you liked it. Comment down below what movies do you like us to recap next. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time.